Welcome back to DataBytez, your source for data-driven principles. It is Patrick, and today we are covering communication. And in the aspect of communication, focusing on your face. Focus on your face. It's been played to death how some people suffer from resting bitch face, and they're really doing themselves a disservice. We actually need to very consciously be aware of the kind of face we're putting on, because it really sets the tone on how things are going to go whenever you're trying to communicate with someone, especially with someone new. And first impressions are everything. This is never going to change. We like to make judgments. We love to operate very superficially. So whatever we see at the initial interaction with someone kind of sets the tone, makes us start believing and constructing narratives in our head about what that other person is like. And so starting with our first reference here is from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the seminal book that has always been held in high esteem, that the expression one wears on one's face is far more important than the clothes one wears on one's back. So again, we are very keen on making an observation on someone's face. In fact, our face is very expressive. We have been gifted evolutionarily with a various amount of expressions with our eyebrows, our eyes, that we have so many whites in our eyes that are able to really see when we're looking at someone. And so what you want to do is smile. I know it's something that seems so dumb. At least that's what I would think. It's like, why just smile more? Yeah, smile more. It doesn't cost anything to smile, and the feedback you get is always a lot better. And developing a warm smile. Now, sometimes it's been said, really, with another component of the face, the gaze, the way we see people. Sometimes you have a warm gaze, sometimes you have a cold gaze. Something that kind of eludes me, at least I think so. I'm not very good at it, but it's so important that it was said that Napoleon Bonaparte would spend hours looking in the mirror trying to perfect his gaze to really impart what he was trying to communicate. And so being able to smile more often will end up opening more doors, more so than the clothes that you wear. Showing that you have a good attitude to start. And again, it becomes coming back to this context that we operate superficially. So to reference Robert Greene from The Laws of Human Nature, the truth is that we humans live on the surface, reacting emotionally to what people say and do. We form opinions of others and ourselves that are rather simplified. We settle for the easiest and most convenient story to tell ourselves. So we are prone to doing this. This is how we like to move. You might think yourself, I'm not a superficial, I don't judge a book by it. You do. We all do. And as much as we try to fight it, inevitably we will succumb back, because it just takes too much thought to really get to know people beyond the surface. And so the more you can set the tone in a positive way, and even on brief interactions, even if you don't interact with people very often, in whatever context you're operating in, make it work. Maybe you don't sit face to face with your boss very often. You don't talk to your boss every often, or their boss's boss, whatever. You just want to make sure you have a very happy sounding demeanor. Again, referencing How to Win Friends and Influence People, you need to set the tone. You must have a good time meeting people if you expect them to have a good time meeting you. If you do not foresee the interaction going well, it's just not it's gonna play out. You're manifesting a bad time, to put it one way. So our thoughts tend to cloak themselves in their physical equivalent. That's another quote. I cannot remember from who, but it's something along the lines, whatever we think tends to clothe itself in its physical equivalent. So if you already go into an event thinking it's going to suck, thinking that's not going to be good, you are setting the tone and most likely are going to act upon it. And there's a concept of the subconscious that is able to feed on everything you feed it. So even your thoughts. So the thoughts that you think inevitably feed into the subconscious, your conscious thoughts, right? And so if you consciously keep thinking bad things are going to be the outcome, you're feeding the subconscious to act it out in a way that will be, again, kind of, think about it on autopilot. Like, okay, we want to act out something bad. Let's do this. And you won't be even consciously thinking about it. You won't even be noticing the micro expressions you're giving out, the micro actions you are doing to kind of push people away into thinking, oh, this is not someone I want to be around. It's like people can sense the energy. And so don't do that. Believe that you're going to have a good time, and it will happen. Now, you might think, and this is something I struggle with, you're like, I don't want to smile. I can't just, you can't just expect me to all of a sudden be happy just because you say so. Now, while our thoughts also dictate a physical manifestation, right? Our thoughts kind of set the tone and what we'll end up acting. The inverse is also true. And again, coming back to How to Win Friends and Influence People, action and emotion act in harmony. So you can act in a certain way, and that can affect you emotionally. So here it is. For the people who, like me, who don't like to smile very often, you don't feel like smiling? Then what? 2 things. First, force yourself to smile. If you are alone, force yourself to whistle or hum a tune or sing. Act as if you were already happy, and that will tend to make you happy. Here is the way the psychologist and philosopher William James put it. Action seems to follow feeling, but really, action and feeling go together. By regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. Thus, the sovereign voluntary path to cheerfulness, if our cheerfulness be lost, is to sit up cheerfully and to act and speak as if cheerfulness were already there. Everybody in the world is seeking happiness, and there is one sure way to find it. That is by controlling your thoughts. Happiness doesn't depend on outward conditions, it depends on inner conditions. It isn't what you have or who you are or where you are or what you are doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It's what you think about it. Again, this has been repeated throughout history. You know, our thoughts control our actions, but also the same way our actions kind of prelude our thoughts. And so forcing yourself to just smile, just act as if you were happy, can go a long way in actually making you happy. This is something I struggle with now a little bit going into my personal life. I'm not a very social person. I'm by far that. It's something I know is one of my greatest weaknesses. I can read and I can understand and I can perform, and people think, well, working towards a specific goal, they love working with me. But in the actual social context outside of some objective based tasks, it's very difficult for me to do. My circle is exceedingly small, too small. And it's just something I struggle with, and I very much do. And what I try to do whenever I'm forced to be in a social situation is I just try to smile. I remind myself of this quote. I remind myself of the idea that if I smile more, if I just act in a way that's happy, my demeanor will change and people around me will pick up on that, and it just makes me more pleasant to be around. And for the most part, yeah, it works. I'm able to overcome this problem. It's not always going to be smooth, especially at first. I struggled with this a lot at first, and by no means am I perfect now, but it's a lot better. It's a lot better. But you know, it's silly. This next might seem a little bit silly to you, but what really is a smile, right? We smile and we think nothing of it. But there are different levels of smiling, and people can kind of pick up on a fake smile. And so it's trying to always have a sincere one that is really good. And so going back to deconstructing the smile from the Laws of Human Nature from Robert Greene, The genuine smile will affect the muscles around the eyes and widen them, often revealing crow's feet on the sides of the eyes. It will also tend to pull the cheeks upward. There is no genuine smile without a definite change in the eyes and cheeks. Some people will try to create the impression of a genuine smile, of the genuine variety, by putting on a very broad smile, which will partially alter the eyes as well. So in addition to the physical signs, you must look at the context. The genuine smile usually comes from some action or words that are suddenly elicit the response. It is spontaneous. So not all smiles are created equal. You don't just want to go smiling randomly, like consistently when you see people. You want to sprinkle it in. If you're someone that struggles to smile, this is kind of the, don't think of it as a mental thing. It's just like, this is kind of the way you have to move a little bit until it becomes, you're genuinely having a good time, and then you no longer think about it. You just sprinkle in a smile every now and then. You want to be sure you smile in a way that makes your eyes change. You might have to practice in a mirror. I know I did at first, just trying to get myself being like, I'm genuinely having a good time. And you want to really come across as genuine. Now, here's a funny story. You might think, I'm a little bit mental. This sounds a little bit mental. Who just goes practicing smiling? Well, it's actually again, you want to set the tone and know of how meeting you goes, and this is particularly important in business. You want to make a good impression with your prospects. You want to be able to smile, seem genuinely warm with people. And so at a company I worked at, the CEO had a really funny smile. It looked silly to look at it. It's kind of dumb. It was kind of a dumb smile. It felt that, I don't know if he read this book in particular, but he was trying to pull it off. Like, it was very broad. His smile was very wide, enough that made his eyes look like they were squinting, because again, a smile should be affecting the cheek and the eyes. And whenever he would see you, like, just like, hey, and shake your hand, and then that smile would come out. And it was a while until I saw him actually smile. And then I noticed it didn't really look like the smile that he was putting on. And it's because that was just something that's like airs he put on when he meets people, to make them feel good, to make them feel safe. And so you might think it's silly to practice your smile, and might think it's silly to just try to force yourself to smile more often. But if you're operating in a business context, this kind of becomes invaluable. Not just in the social, like, I just want to be around my friends or whatever, or be in a party. I hate parties, but if you want to be in a party, you want to be able to smile more, even if you don't like the situation you're being forced in, which is usually the case. You're usually being put in a position you don't want to be in, which is why you're like, I need to smile a bit more. And I want to close this out with a poem from Elbert Hubbard, American essayist and publisher. And keeping this in mind, whenever you go out of doors, draw the chin in, carry the crown of the head high, and fill the lungs to the utmost. Drink in the sunshine, greet your friends with a smile, and put soul into every hand clasp. Do not fear being misunderstood, and do not waste a minute thinking about your enemies. Try to fix firmly in your mind what you would like to do, and then, without veering off direction, you will move straight to the goal. Keep your mind on the great and splendid things you would like to do, and then, as the days go gliding away, you will find yourself unconsciously seizing the opportunities that are required for the fulfillment of your desire. Just as the coral insect takes the running tide, the element it needs. Picture in your mind the able, earnest, useful person you desire to be, and the thought you hold is hourly transforming you into that particular individual. Thought is supreme. Persevere a right mental attitude, the attitude of courage, frankness, and good cheer. To think rightly is to create. All things come through desire, and every sincere prayer is answered. We become like on which our hearts are fixed. Carry your chin in and the crown of your head high. We are gods in the chrysalis. So when you go out today, when you go out tomorrow, then the day after, start the day off with a smile. Start by trying to be appreciative of some things. Just find the reason for you to smile that at the start of the day. Set the tone for what the day is going to be. When things go wrong, try to focus on the good thing. It's hard, and it's never going to be simple, but it sets the tone. And so when someone enters your space, they're gonna want to be around you because you elicit this good energy, this good state of being. Over time, if you force yourself and just get into the habit of finding a reason to smile, you'll find that your actual thoughts will cloak themselves in the same form. So if you're not able to think, at least act, and then it'll reinforce the thought. Again, it's a two-way highway, action and thought. Oftentimes our thoughts are the ones that end up controlling our actions, but we are able to control our actions and then have more direct influence on the thought. So that's really the end of today's lesson. Focus on your face. Make yourself smile. And you'll feel better as a result. Anyways, that's Patrick with DataBytez. Have a good one. Bye.